the chat, and I see that people are typing in. It is good to know about the 2 EpiPens to carry, absolutely. And my granddaughter had a friend who died last year from a food allergy. Yes, the food allergies are life-threatening and they can be extremely serious. This is why it's important to get the word out and to have supports on every step of the journey. So yeah, my thoughts go out to you. And then, can I do something while I'm pregnant to avoid my child having food allergies? Well, one of the things, they've done studies on people and they don't have a definitive decision on people who are pregnant. What they are saying now is that while you're pregnant, if you have food allergies, please make sure and have your diet according to those food allergies and keep yourself safe. By keeping yourself safe, you're keeping your immune system safe, and that in turn protects the unborn child. In terms of trying to do any extra measures outside of that for your unborn child, you just want to make sure that you're monitoring your body. Your body's going to reflect what's going on system-wise for the baby and for yourself. So you work with your physician and with your own body, and you monitor them both. But there's no set guidelines. So it's really making sure that you're paying attention. And if anything does go up, to let your doctor know right away. Is lactose intolerance a sign of a milk allergy? Lactose intolerance is in the digestive system, and it is an intolerance, and it's not life-threatening. It's uncomfortable, but it is not an allergy. And the allergy is in the immune system. So a lactose intolerant won't trigger an allergy because they're 2 totally different symptoms, and sometimes people think it can be a precursor, but it actually is not. And a milk allergy doesn't. Once you have a milk allergy, you want to avoid all dairy products and milk. Lactose, you want to make sure that you have your lactate and monitor your symptoms as to how much you can actually tolerate. And then someone is asking, if one child or parent has food allergies, will the next child have an increased likelihood of developing food allergies? So actually, if there is a primary relative, a mother, father, or sibling, it has been shown that you are more likely, the next child has an increased likelihood of having food allergies than if somebody is in a family who does not have food allergies. Also, if there's a history in a family of hives or eczema, that can also increase the risk of a food allergy in a child. And then somebody's discussing about the symptoms. They thought they were having an asthma attack in the ER, but it was an allergy attack. These are the things, and kind of why I was stressing with the EpiPen is that it's so important. When in doubt, if you're having an allergic reaction, absolutely use the EpiPen. There will be nothing negative that will happen to your system. You want to make sure and get to a hospital right away, or if you're in a hospital, sometimes you may have to take things into your own hands and use the EpiPen. But one thing that is important is I would default to using it just because it can reverse those symptoms, and understanding the internal versus external and understanding it won't harm my system, but it may save a life is always a good fallback to have in your mind. I didn't know that eczema was related to allergies. Actually, it is related, and they are finding that eczema in babies and in relatives can be an indicator of increased likelihood for a food allergy. They don't know the exact mechanisms why they're tied, but they are tied and linked to each other. It says, what have you found is the best way to inform a restaurant and wait staff about your food allergies? So when I go to a restaurant, I have a process. I like to research the restaurants ahead of time, and then if I have the ability to choose a restaurant, call them ahead of time and speak to them. If I don't have the ability to choose a restaurant, I always will make sure and find out what the restaurant name is, and then the process is the same. I'll call the restaurant ahead of time, explain my allergies, and ask if they can accommodate them and create a safe environment. Once I arrive at the restaurant, I make sure to arrive about 15 minutes early just to be able to speak to my server so that I can look at the menu, talk to her about my allergies, we can communicate with the chef, and that all happens before the other party arrives. And that way, when everybody sits down at the table, I can relax. I've already explained all the allergies, And then once we put the order in, I just confirm it again. And one thing I will say that I do, when I do have the first bites of my food, I have a few small bites and just make sure I'm not having any strange sensations. It's just a safety fallback that I do, but I find it extremely helpful, and it just reassures myself that, okay, your body is fine, you can move on and enjoy the rest of your meal. And I think we have answered all the questions. Can a food intolerance turn into a food allergy? A food intolerance, you can have a food intolerance and it will not trigger the food allergy, but people can have food intolerances and food allergies at the same time. Like I said before, the food allergy is an IgE immune system response, and it can be life-threatening. The food intolerance is usually in the digestive system 90% of the time. So people can actually have both at the same time, but one does not cause the other, either or. So I hope that has cleared that up, but that's important to know the differences, because sometimes, especially in waitstaff and in public, people don't understand that an allergy is not the same thing as an intolerance, and you can have a little bit and be okay. No, you can't. So you want to make sure and make that clear, and by making it clear to people, you have to get comfortable with being confident and making sure you're keeping yourself safe and not feel like you're trying to press it too much. It is something that needs to be communicated in a very clear and strong way. Do you have any plans where I can find the recipe recommendations? So in terms of recipe recommendations, a couple of things to address that. There are the 21 recipes in our spell book on our website. They're all top 9 allergen free. And if you go to foodallergywizards.com and you go to the downloads where our spell book is, you will see 21 recipes. They're arranged in batch cooking to make it really easy, but you can break them apart and pick and choose those recipes. In terms of if you need personalized recommendations to work on specific diets, then you can always click on the button called Summon a Wizard, and we can work on a personalized menu specific to your allergens or to a loved one's allergens, to make sure if it's a celebration or general meals, we can absolutely work around that. And I would start in those 2 places for recipe recommendations. And it's also fun to experiment in your own kitchen and take a recipe, and if there's something you want to change out or one ingredient that you want to sub out, you can always shoot us an email and I can let you know how to work around that. So I love cooking in the kitchen. I think of it as one big science experiment. It's another mindset shift that I have, is when I'm in the kitchen, I feel like I'm in a chemistry lab having a great time. So that's my own little personal fun time. So I think I've answered all the questions, and always, if you have any more questions or there's something that you want to ask but you'd like to keep it private, I also want to respect that. And you can go to our website and use Summon a Wizard for that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or any supports. If you have a chicken allergy, should you carry an EpiPen? Let me make sure and take this one because it just popped up before I sign off. If you have an allergy that's an IgE allergy, most likely it's been determined by a skin prick test or a blood test. If that's a true allergy, I would absolutely make sure you have an EpiPen with you, because IgE allergies can trigger life-threatening reactions. It may never happen, but in the off chance that it does, the only thing that will help you in a severe situation is that EpiPen. So you want to make sure and have that if you have an allergy to anything that you've tested positive for. So make sure and please keep safe. So yes, I will press that point over and over again to make sure everybody stays safe. And also helps if somebody else needs an EpiPen, which can happen in situations. So where should we get our EpiPens? So when you are diagnosed with food allergies, your doctor will write a prescription for the EpiPen. And I always try and verify they come in packages of 2. I always verify them getting a prescription for 2. And then, as I said before, there are 3 different manufacturers that make the EpiPens, but the prescription comes from a doctor. And once you're diagnosed with food allergies, that goes hand in hand. It's just basically an automatic. If for some reason you were diagnosed and you were not given an EpiPen, immediately call up your doctor and get that prescription, because that is very important. I he was diagnosed abroad. Absolutely. Okay, so when you go abroad, there are different medical facilities, and you can also call your doctor wherever you were diagnosed, and that doctor who does the diagnosis should be able to fill the EpiPen. I've actually been in Europe and had to get medications in pharmacies, and I was able to work with my pharmacy, or doctor in the United States was able to guide me and work with a pharmacy in Europe. So as long as you have access to a pharmacy and a name and a phone number in Europe where you are, if I'm just saying Europe, but that happens to be the country, and one in the United States to communicate with each other, then it should not be a problem. Usually they're very good about that. And the world is getting very well educated on food allergies, and it's really becoming an awareness topic internationally. So that really should not be a problem. All right, so I think we've covered everything. And again, please feel free to reach out to me through Summon a Wizard. And I had a great time on this seminar. I was glad to be able to give a foundational seminar, a launching pad to start everybody off. And we'll be having more things. I mean, you can check out our website. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And we have a lot of great things coming down the pike. And I make sure and stop by and get your Valentine's Day recipes. They're fantastic. And of course, our spell book on our website. So I hope everybody had a fantastic time. Thank you for joining me, and have a great day or evening, depending on your time zone. Thank you.